To begin tonight's proceedings, we have a delegation from Fortis, Alberta. We would like to, and we've allocated 30 minutes for Fortis, and they've been with us on 3 or 4 occasions, if not more. Over a 6-month period, this offer came to us in February. So, if you do the math, that's a good 5 months. So this is not something that comes to us resulting in a snap decision. This is something that we have taken under consideration, and we've given very diligent consideration to it. We have not made a decision. You saw the doors closed when you came. That was a closed meeting that we had with our town electrical employees. One way or the other, they will be impacted. And so that's the only reason the doors were closed, is that meeting was a closed meeting with our town electrical staff. Okay? So we'd like to welcome Mr. Mike Pashik. He's one of the Fortis Vice Presidents. He has with him Merlin McNaughton and Dave Hunka. And so again, we want to welcome our delegation from Fortis. And again, I'm watching the clock. We're a few minutes late with putting the chairs in. But your allocated 30 minutes is there for you, and you may want to allow 5 or 10 minutes at the end of that for some Q&A. So, Mr. Pashik, we're your captive audience, as are the folks here in the gallery.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having Fortis Alberta back again to review our purchase offer for the town of Cardston's electrical assets. And as you said, I'm Mike Pashik. I'm Vice President of Customer Service at Fortis Alberta. So in my presentation, I'm going to give you some brief information about Fortis Alberta, a little bit of the Alberta electric industry, the benefits that we expect will accrue to the folks of Cardston and the town of Cardston, and then finally I'll review the purchase offer that we've made. And that has been on your website for some time now, and so hopefully you have the information already, and I'm just reviewing it. So to start off with Fortis Alberta, we are an Alberta-based company. Our executive, our board of directors all reside in Alberta. We've been in business for over 100 years. Our roots go back to Calgary Power. And as I said, we're Alberta-based. We're a regulated distribution-only utility. And I'll talk a little bit what regulated means in a few other slides. But what I want you to know is we have 1,100 employees working in 52 different locations around the province. And you can see that on the map that's up on the screens there. The blue area is our service territory, and stretches right from the American border almost up to Fort Macleod, and the gray area is covered by ATCO. We've got 500,000 customers, and last year we invested over $350 million to keep our system safe and reliable. Last time I was here, I spoke to each of these bullet points on this slide here, and these are Fortis Alberta attributes. It is who we are, and it's the themes by which we make decisions. But this time, what I want to do is just show you some of the things that we've achieved in graph form in the areas of safety, reliability, and cost control. So this first slide is our employee safety performance. Our line is the blue line, and the red line is what the average Canadian electrical utility performance is. On the left, it's how many injuries occur each year, and on the right is how severe are those injuries. What I want you to take away from this slide is that you can see that Fortis Alberta is very concerned about the safety of their employees and of the general public. And you can see that our performance is better than the Canadian average. On this slide, we're showing you the system reliability. Again, The blue line is the Fortis Alberta performance, and the red line is the average of similar utilities in Canada. On the left, how often is your power out throughout a year? You can see on average it's 2 hours in Fortis Alberta's service territory. And then on the right is how many times do you have to reset that annoying digital clock? And you can see on average our customers have to reset it once per year. What I want you to take away from this slide is that Fortis Alberta is approximately 3 times better than the Canadian average, and that puts us in the top 10% of utilities across Canada. One of the reasons we have such good reliability is our ability to respond to outages. And in and around the Cardston area, you can see we have 35 staff that typically respond in under 10 minutes, depending where they're located. And if the sale goes through, we'll have 38 staff within 1 hour of the town of Cardston. This will give you comfort that your service and reliability will remain the same and will likely even improve if and when the 3 staff members from the town of Cardston join us. The next slide shows our operating costs. And really what I wanted to show on this one is the productivity improvements that we've achieved over the last few years. Our controllable operating costs per customer are the dark blue line going left to right and decreasing over the years. So operating costs are going down. This is at the same time as the light blue lines, which represent the average hourly wage in Alberta, going up. So we've had a number of productivity improvements to offset our labor costs, which typically are about 70% of our overall operating costs. The next couple of slides are about the electric industry. I just want to show you how Cardston gets electricity delivered to their homes. It starts with generation, which is deregulated, and there's a number of companies listed there that generate power in Alberta. From the generation plants, it goes to the transmission system. AltaLink serves this area, and they're distinguished by the high voltage towers, whether they're metal or the wooden H-frame style. And then it drops down to a 25,000 volt system that we operate and deliver to the outskirts of the town of Cardston. And then Cardston takes over and distributes it to the end user in the town. Currently, NMAX bills you if you're on the RRO rate. You can see that the 2 green squares, the poles and wires companies, transmission and distribution, are regulated. The rest of the entities are not regulated. What's important to take away from this slide is that the town of Cardston has always been a customer to Fortis Alberta. We put the electricity on your doorstep, and then you deliver it to your homes and places of business. The next slide really shows the future of the delivery chain if the town of Cardston decides to get out of the electrical business. And really all that's different is that Cardston is out and somewhat, I guess you could liken it to the middleman in a transaction is taken out of the business. You'll also note on this slide that the RRO supplier changes to EPCOR because that's who we've contracted with. And folks that decide to stay on the RRO will now get bills from EPCOR, but those folks that are on long-term contracts with one of the other retailers can still remain with them, and that's part of what the industry is set up to do, is that the consumer has choice of retailers.
Just so anyone doesn't know what RRO is, can you maybe explain that?
Sure. The RRO is the regulated rate option. And if I was to give you an example, I'd point to your mortgages. You can have variable rate mortgages, or you can have fixed rate mortgages. The variable rate mortgage is like your RRO for what you pay for your energy cost, the kilowatt hours that you use at home or in your business. The fixed rate is like the fixed rate electrical contracts are just much like a fixed rate mortgage, and you have a steady cost per kilowatt hour that you use. And if I was to use NMAX as an example, it's currently set at 8 cents. The RRO rate last year swung between just under 7 cents to almost approaching 15 cents. And the consumer chooses how much volatility do they want in their electric bill each and every month, and that's why you choose one rate or another. For Fortis Alberta, it doesn't matter to us. We just make sure that kilowatts are delivered to your house for use. Next slide is I want to talk about the compliance in a complex industry, and the electrical industry, as simple as it seems to turn on a switch and the light comes on, the industry itself, since deregulation, has become much more complex. And in the last 12 years, more and more regulations, legislation, and rules have come on. And these are the types of things that Fortis Alberta has to deal with, as do other distribution utilities. The thing I'd say to you is that we're experienced in this business. We have the staff to manage these types of issues and regulations, and all utilities must comply no matter what size they are. Throughout the open houses that we came and participated in, there were a number of questions or concerns expressed by folks coming in there, and I just wanted to put them on record as to what our answers would be in a public forum for them. And the first question is, so why do we want to buy the system? Well, it is the business we're in, and that's running distribution utilities. In the last 5 years, we have purchased 5 rural electrification associations, small distribution entities that we would operate for. And currently we've got a number of other offers out there for REAs, public assets, and government-based assets. These are folks that are deciding that they want to get out of the business for one reason or another. They either are struggling to find manpower, or they're struggling with regulations, or they're struggling with the need to rebuild the system. So what's the benefit for us? The more people we get, the more customers we have, increases our economy of scale. And our operating costs don't really grow for that. And so what happens is the customers see a reduced operating cost per customer, and that will reduce their rates. For us, it also eliminates the confusion for customers and improves safety and reliability, as you only have one system operator. Another question we fielded during the open houses was, where does Fortis Alberta make its profit and where does it go? Well, we do earn a return on our investment. The amount of return we make is set by the Utilities Commission. You could call the return a profit if you want, if that made it easier for you, but it is similar to how you invest your own money, where you want to be paid by those that you loan your money to and use your money either to operate their business or something else. What I'd like you to know is there's no profit built into our operating costs. Those are straight flow-throughs, as is the financing that we take so that we can invest in the system. The only earnings that we have are based on our equity of our ownership of the system. And the government mandates that we run a 60-40 debt equity ratio for our business. So 40% of our business is what we invest in with our money. And of that money that we invest, the government regulates an 8.75% return on that investment. So where does the profit go? Well, the profit, just like a dividend in a share price, this portion of it is returned to the shareholders. The other portion is reinvested back into our system to keep it safe and reliable. What will happen to future rates under Fortis Alberta? If the sale goes through, your rates will increase by approximately 10%. 10%. The town of Cardston has recognized that if they keep the asset, they too must raise their rates to keep the system safe and reliable. The forecast is that future rates will be the same no matter who owns the system. What you should know about Fortis is that we're about to enter performance-based rate making. This is new rate regulation created by the government that will incent utility companies to find productivity improvements that will reduce costs and lower rates to the customers. The new regulation also ensures that companies stay committed to customer satisfaction, safety, and reliability. So what is regulation? How does it work? Who are interveners? And how are rates improved? Regulation is the oversight provided by the Alberta Utilities Commission on natural monopolies such as transmission and distribution companies. Interveners are special interest groups that act on behalf of consumers to ensure electricity rates are fair and reasonable. The Alberta Utilities Commission approves rates in a two-part process. The first part determines how much money the utility needs to run their business. The second phase determines how much should be collected from each consumer rate class. So who is AltaLink and how does the transmission affect the town of Cardston or this offer? So AltaLink is the transmission service provider in this area. They own and operate large high voltage structures and the substations that carry the electricity from the generation plants down to the local area. AltaLink has no influence on the Fortis's offer to the town for the purchase of this distribution plant. Fortis Alberta also has no control or interest in AltaLink's business or business practices. Automated metering technology. We've recently installed automated meters throughout our service territory. This new technology eliminates manual meter reads, thereby reducing greenhouse gas emissions. This technology communicates via a power line and not by radio frequency, therefore no EMFs. And I think I'm just going to hit some of the highlights on this to be aware of the time. One of the things you should know for new customers in the town of Cardston, and Fortis Alberta owns the system, we help new customers with their construction costs. If you're getting up connected, brand new to us, whether you're a home or a business, our terms and conditions allow us to assist you to reduce your construction costs. Another important fact about Fortis Alberta, our contact center is open 24/7. It's Alberta-based, staffed by Albertans and located in Airdrie. The slide I showed you earlier showed that you have 35 Fortis line staff in and around your area. That allows us to respond quickly to outages and to your customer requests. We have a number of advanced technologies and work methods that we've employed to reduce our operating costs. Things like working on energized lines, which is unique to in Alberta to our utility. So we work live so that customers do not have to experience outages. We have significant purchasing power. We run an inventory of about $45 million. And are never short of parts. We also have a number of community investments. Our major investments are the United Way, Stars Helicopter, and the Coaldale Birds of Prey Center. Those are our major entities that we assist. And then we have numerous one-time assistance for other communities, and I'll talk about that a little bit later as I review the purchase offer to the town of Cardston. The benefits for the town of Cardston: long-term financial stability. If you've had an opportunity to review the financial statements online on the town of Cardston's Facebook page, you'll see that the offer that we're putting forward results in an additional $100,000 per year to the town of Cardston. If you invested it in something not more riskier, but let's say you wanted to become an owner of Fortis, Alberta, and you purchase shares. Now, you could likely earn about 5% return. And the thing I'd say about this is that the city of Kelowna is also at a point where they're considering selling their assets to our sister company, Fortis BC. They've got 15,000 customers. Their assets worth about $60 million. And that's exactly what they're going to want to do with their money, is they want to purchase Fortis shares so that they can be seen as an owner of Fortis and help direct us in long-term decision making. It removes the risks and liabilities associated with the utility, and the types of risks that I'm talking about is employee safety, the general public safety, the liabilities associated with outages or claims due to outages, things like that. It eliminates future capital and operating costs, and even more importantly, the sale of the asset will allow the town council to focus on other parts of the town itself, maybe public infrastructure or roadways or things like that. And growth due to Fortis Alberta investment is similar to what I talked about before, where we invest in new services, and investing in new services tends to draw new people and new businesses to the town, and the town grows. The franchise agreement, I'm going to speak to that on the next slide because it's an important part and a commitment that the town of Cardston and Fortis Alberta enter into. And here are the types of things that come with that agreement and the service levels that come with it. There's a franchise fee which looks like revenue to the town of Cardston, so we pay that so that we have the right to operate within the town limits. There's work notification and approval. We notify the council and the town management when there's certain work that we have to do in here. And there's dollar values set that determine what kind of notice, because we don't want to be doing things inside your town that are counter to what you're trying to do. We want to work together with you. If we're rebuilding part of a line and you want to rebuild part of a sewer and the two are together, we work together, and that's why those types of notifications happen. Streetlight commitments. It's the number one thing that we hear from our other 141 franchise agreement holders, the other 141 towns and cities and municipalities that we have this type of agreement with. They want their streetlights fixed. They want to know that they'll be on all the time, and we make a commitment so that if we miss the commitment, we actually pay a penalty back to you for missing that commitment. Annual reporting talks about, we come in once a year and we talk about, here are the things that we've done inside your municipality. Here's who Fortis Alberta is. Here's some of the successes and even some of the troubles we had in the previous year. So there's that constant dialogue between Fortis and the council and the town management. You know, what you're getting is you're getting that big company feel with a small town commitment, and that's what these franchise agreements are really about. And finally, which is an important one, at the end of the term, franchise agreements are set for a 10-year term with an option to renew for another 10 years. But at the end of the term, if you were disappointed with us, you'd have the opportunity to purchase back your assets based on the same methodology that we use to determine the value today. I'm happy to say that since deregulation came, and in the last 12 years, nobody has ever taken us up on that offer to purchase back their assets. So finally, the purchase offer itself. $10.2 million for the purchase of the electrical distribution system. That's based on a replacement cost new minus depreciation valuation. It's a method that's approved by the Alberta Utilities Commission that recognizes that folks won't overpay or that existing customers won't subsidize the current purchase. The other components are $10,000 annual contribution for 3 years to be directed towards community events, things that we can co-brand and work together on. Installation of automated meters for all customers within 30 days. That allows you to get monthly updates of your energy consumption. And if you choose, you can modify your energy consumption habits. What's really important in this deal is the placement of a replacement transformer for the 4160 volt system that you have. The current transformer you have is old. It serves approximately two-thirds of the town. And if it was to fail, you'd be without power for some time. Our commitment is to put a spare transformer right in the site until we get to a point where we have rebuilt the old 4160 volt system to a modern 25,000 volt system. Installation of LED streetlight heads on the main street, or we're willing to work with the town on alternative decorative street lighting options for Main Street. We will upgrade the distribution system from that aging voltage to the new voltage within 5 years. We think this is about a $2.5 million investment on our part on an asset that's worth $10 million, so a 25% investment by us. The employees currently working for the town of Cardston will be offered employment with us. And we've had conversations, as has the council, with them, and we believe that they're quite happy with what we've offered them, which is the same, similar to all our other employees. And we will enter into the franchise agreement that has service level commitments, reporting, and franchise fee revenue. The last point I'd make on this is that all of your system inventory that you currently have, whether it's poles and wires and transformers or a truck or tools, we'll purchase that at the market value, and we think that that value is approximately $350,000. That's my presentation.
Thanks, Mike. I'm sure you're out of steam. Maybe grab a drink of water there. Council, we've got probably 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes for a couple of quick questions. So we've heard this presentation a couple of times. Maybe we don't have any questions. Mike, let me just make a comment. As I look over the folks here in the gallery, I'm guessing that the large majority are sitting here thinking, what will happen to my electrical rates if this deal is accepted and goes through? Now, you talked about the likelihood of about a 10% increase in those rates. Do you want to reassure the folks here that because you're regulated, you can't get crazy if you were to own our distribution system? Maybe just a couple of quick responses to that. You can't go wild just because you would now, if you would own our system.
That's right. You know, as a regulated distribution company, our rates are set each year. Well, we go in every 2 years to have our rates set for each consecutive year, are set by the Alberta Utilities Commission. our costs are vetted, and they approve the rate increases. So the rates that the folks in Cardston will pay are exactly what the rest of our consumers will pay throughout the province. And you know, I use that rough number of 10%. Some will go up and some will go down. And I think if I remember correctly, the business folks will enjoy a bit of a benefit from it, and the residential folks will have just a little bit more of an increase.
And let me add to Mr. Pashik's comment that the town of Cardston is committed as a council to cost recovery on all of our utilities. We are not comfortable with anything other than a user pay procedure. And that's why if we have high rates passed along to us by our regulated system provider, we then pass those increases in rates along to our users. Again, user pay is a concept that we are committed to as a council. So I think you can rest assured that if the town does accept this offer, you will not see any higher rates than you will see if we retain the system and pass those increases along to you. Thank you very much. We're out of time in terms of questions. I'll now call Mr. Phillips, if you would please, to come up and take the podium. No, we're out of time. We're out of time. Mr. Phillips, if you would please. And thank you once again, Mike.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I didn't see your hand. No, I did, but I didn't.